Hello and welcome to the Selling Sanity podcast. I am your hostess, Theresa Concepcion Esquire, and this is episode 4 for all my Sanity squad that are listening. Today's episode is called Chrishell Stause is not the white savior you think she is. Why do I say that? Because right now, a lot of different media outlets, a lot of followers on different social media platforms are applauding Chrishell because Chrishell has quote unquote spoken out on behalf of Chelsea after Mary's racist tirades in the last season of Selling Sunset. But my position is that everything that Chrishell has done on the show and everything that she does off of the show is all performative and it's all for her to improve her PR. So let's back up and take this from the beginning. Chrishell was not an ally to Chelsea when Chelsea first joined the brokerage and the show. As a matter of fact, Chrishell is one of the very first people to perform microaggressions against Chelsea because unlike the time when Heather had a $2 million open house and Chrishell said that Christine Quinn was inappropriate and unprofessional for cursing at Heather's open house, for calling Mary a fucking idiot, Chrishell had no problem going to a $20 million open house by her brand new black colleague. Chrishell and Chelsea were not friends at this time. And what did Chrishell do? She chose to take away what was really supposed to be a moment that highlighted Chelsea's expertise, her business savvy, her connections, her ability to sell multi-million-dollar properties, and she turned it into a fuck, bitch, storming through the open house spectacle that brand new agent Chelsea called fucking wild once Chrishell finally left. So Chrishell centers everything around her. Whatever the issue is, whether it's someone's open house, whether it's a dispute that someone's having with someone else, she always seems to make it turn around so that it becomes about her. So now Chrishell is claiming that, oh, look at me, I'm such an ally because, Mary said that she was afraid of Chelsea, and Chrishell has gone on public statements and said, oh, do better, girl. Oh, that's such dangerous rhetoric. Oh, you were never in any danger. Number one, if Chrishell was really an ally, she would call a spade, stop protecting Mary Bonet, and just call Mary a racist, which is what she is. To this date, to my knowledge, Chrishell still has not done that. But more importantly, I think it's really critical that we take a step back and look at Chrishell's behavior in past episodes where Chrishell jumped to other people's defense when she felt that a friend of hers was being wronged. On multiple occasions in past episodes, when Emma was getting into it with Nicole, when Mary was getting into it with Christine, Chrishell insisted, I'm not going anywhere. This is my friend. I'm here to advocate for that person. But at the dinner where Mary was freaking out on Chelsea, Chrishell was the most timid I've seen her in all 9 seasons. All she could do was in her little girl voice say, oh, but I think the flowers were genuine. They were really genuine. And then she reaches over and rubs Chelsea's arm. If Chrishell really wanted to be an advocate, why couldn't she say, Mary, you're high on drugs right now and you need to leave. You need to detox. You need to take a step back. Chrishell had no problem yelling drugs at Nicole on multiple occasions. And we have more or less discovered that all of Chrishell's accusations against Nicole were bullshit between podcast interviews that the cast has done, between media interviews, between the confessions that were actually made at the reunion. So It's pretty clear that the entire time Chrishell was yelling drugs at Nicole, she was doing so out of malice and out of an attempt to undermine Nicole's credibility. But when there is an actual drug addict having an episode in which she's attacking, denigrating, and disrespecting a black woman for sending her flowers, the literal thing that Chrishell did was throw up her hands. The time to be an ally is when it's hard. It's when it's not going to be a given that people are going to be on your side. The time to be an ally is on camera. And so if you're going around and you're saying these, performative quotes that really don't even get to the heart of the issue and really don't acknowledge the fact that it isn't just in season 9. It's been in the last 4 seasons since Chelsea has been on the show that she has been subjected to Mary Bonet's racist microaggressions in the office, because since the time that Chelsea joined the show, Mary has gone out of her way to treat Chelsea differently. She has no problem encouraging Nicole and Chrishell to have a conversation at the open house. She has no problem telling Chelsea to go sit down. She excluded Chelsea's concerns when she was talking about Jason, about the dispute between Nicole and Chrishell. Chelsea was never invited to a sit down with Mary, Nicole, and Chrishell, and Chelsea wasn't given the opportunity to say to them, listen, I didn't appreciate the fact that you guys had this argument at my open house. Mary has never treated Chelsea like she's a manager dealing with an agent who has legitimate complaints. Mary has just always treated Chelsea like the N-word, but a little bit more politely, except for this season where she became so overconfident, I think, in the show's success, that she really thought she could handle being on camera while she was also on drugs. The other, example of Chrishell not being an ally to Chelsea was at Chelsea's 30th birthday. Now they are friends. Now Chelsea has basically planned this extravagant masquerade party that's really her debut to society. It's really a marker of how far she's come. She's flown people in from all over the world, her family, her friends. And on that occasion, both Emma and Chrishell, and later Amanda, thought it was appropriate to go up to Nicole and create a scene in the middle of this super expensive party. And what happens? Once again, the limelight is taken away from Chelsea. That whole episode should have been, or at least those scenes, should have just been about Chelsea celebrating. But they took away, her shine when she had a $20 million open house. They took away her shine when she's got, a 30th birthday party. And now let's move on to my biggest beef with the show, and the beef that I really blasted them all about when I saw that episode, was the scene where after Chelsea sells a $10 million house, instead of pushing her towards more expensive properties and bigger opportunities, I think Jason said, holy crap, Mary hasn't sold anything because Chelsea's doing all the business. I need to keep, food on Mary's table. And so let me, as an executive producer, arrange this quote unquote competition now between Mary and Chelsea in Manhattan Beach. The same place where Chelsea's $20 million open house was, the same place where Chelsea lives, the same place where she's got a lot of connections in that neighborhood. Now Jason is saying, let's have Chelsea and Mary compete. And again, the show is not scripted in terms of the things that people say, but the show is definitely scripted as to the what time you're supposed to show up and what the scenarios are going to be when you arrive. So for the first time in show history, and only when there was a competition between Mary and Chelsea, a white woman and a black woman, did the open house devolve into a complete and utter spectacle. If you look back to prior seasons, when Chrishell was saying she was doing her charity event she asked Amanda and Mary to show up early and help her set up, and they did. In the season where Mary and Chelsea were fighting over this listing, it would have been very easy for Chrishell to say on camera or during her interviews, Chelsea's my girl. I'm going to make sure that she wins this listing. I'm going to make sure that I help her. I'm going to make sure that we set her up for success. But neither Chrishell nor Emma brought any clients to that open house. They didn't offer to help Chelsea set up, let alone show up. And production has Chelsea walking in late. So for the first time, Chelsea's late to an opening. So we're showing a Black trope that Black people are always late. She doesn't help with the setup. So poor Mary is shown doing it all by herself. So now we're having the Black trope that Black people are lazy. Chelsea shows up in the tightest shorts humanly possible. And now we have Mary saying, her coochie is out, and asking Brett and Jason to say something to her in the middle of a packed open house when that's not the appropriate venue for that. But what in this whole episode do Chrishell and Emma do? Do they help her work the room? Do they help her find a buyer? Do they help her, do they defend her in her clothing when she's being confronted by 3 white people? No. Chrishell and Emma take Chelsea outside and encourage her to climb a freaking Jeep. They're undermining her work. They're distracting her. And then they're encouraging her to climb instead of helping her. And that's not allyship. Encouraging someone to humiliate themselves is that gaslighting that I keep talking about. It's saying one thing and doing something that completely contradicts what you just said. I love you, but I'm going to go ruin your birthday party. I'm here for you, but I'm not going to help you set up. I support you, but let's leave the open house and go make a spectacle. You notice that Emma and Chrishell didn't ask Mary to go outside and climb the stupid Jeep. So whether or not Chelsea realizes it, because it's really close when you're in a situation to take a step back and look at it from an objective point of view. But as a viewer, and as someone who has worked in white corporate spaces, I know what sabotage looks like. Emma and Chrishell intentionally sabotaged Chelsea. And who wound up looking ahead in that situation? Mary was seen as the professional. Mary was seen as the one who had it all together. Mary was the one who was responsible. And the show completely portrayed Chelsea as kind of like this deadbeat agent. And at that point, look at how far Chelsea has fallen in her portrayal in the show. From this badass woman who can come in with Christine, immediately co-host a huge open house with Christine, call out the women for bullying Christine and saying, go take them to their, front door and talk to them there, but don't do it at a professional event, to having these quote unquote friends who undermine her in the exact same way that she noticed them undermining Christine seasons earlier. So I find Chrishell's, half-hearted defense of Chelsea now, after, season 9 airs, after she saw that public opinion was turning against her, I find it completely disingenuous and truly, truly offensive. If Chrishell really cared about these issues, if she was really an advocate, the way she's been an advocate on air, on camera for the LGBTQ plus community, she should have been an advocate on air for Chelsea. If you're really someone's friend and you really have someone's back, you don't do it behind the scenes, you do it on camera. And not once has Chrishell ever gone hard for Chelsea on camera. Oh, I think, Mary, I think she meant the flowers. She told me they really were sincere, Mary. Oh, I'm so sorry, Chelsea. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening. You know exactly what's happening, girl. And if you can yell, you overdosed on cocaine to Nicole when Nicole was sober, why couldn't you say, Mary, you're high on cocaine and you need to chill out right now? Because Chrishell values Mary more than she values Chelsea. Whether or not that's the public dynamic that's playing out right now, that's the only conclusion that I can draw as an objective outside observer just looking at this. If Chrishell had said those words, Mary, you're high on cocaine right now and you need to step down and chill, the amount of respect that I would have had for Chrishell would be huge. But she didn't say that. Chrishell weaponizes drugs when she's throwing that word at someone she doesn't like. But she won't weaponize that word when it's true to protect someone she claims is her friend. So for all the people falling for, Chrishell's performance of public outrage that even now is so lukewarm, it can't possibly be getting, seriously taken by anyone, but yet it is. I keep seeing these people like, oh my God, we love Chrishell. Nothing will ever, make me hate Chrishell. Look at the way she's an advocate for Black women. Chrishell's pattern is to ignore Black women when they need support, to laugh at Black women when it's socially safe, and then to step in dramatically so that the show and the story becomes about, look at Chrishell's personal growth. Look at how strong Chrishell is. Look at how great Chrishell is. She's turning the narrative around so we as an audience don't say, wait a minute, Chrishell. So you're really saying between the reunion and the, behind the scenes stuff that for 3 seasons you've been saying Nicole's on drugs and that whole time it's been a lie. And yet you have 2 friends on camera who are having coked out episodes and you would rather protect them than protect Chelsea. That's what I took away from season 9. And that's what I take away from Chrishell's conduct right now. She put a comment that, oh my gosh, it's so heartbreaking that, Jason is a producer and this is what happens when you have all white producers. And isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame? Because that producer has the right to say the show will be canceled if certain scenes aren't taken out. Even then, she won't say what I have been saying since the day season 9 debuted, which is that Jason Oppenheim threatened to cancel Selling Sunset and Selling OC if the production company aired the footage of Chelsea calling Jason and Mary racist in their office when Jason and Mary tried to fire Chelsea. She still won't say that, and for everybody who thinks she's contractually bound, she's not. Because all these cast members, every single one of them, at one point or another, have given the tea about what really happens behind the scenes. From Chelsea saying that she's the one who set up the conversation with her and Bree, from, it coming out that Chrishell didn't sell the house, that Nicole Young sold it, but the show made it look like it was really Chrishell's for 2 seasons. There's so much fakeness on screen that they have called out off screen that the fact that Chrishell is still tiptoeing, she's still dancing around issues. She wants to be the good guy, but she doesn't want to piss off her quote unquote friends. She wants to show the world that she quote unquote cares for Chelsea, but she won't stand on business. She won't say Mary is racist. She won't say Jason is racist. She won't say, yeah, it's true, Jason threatened to cancel both shows. That's how racist Jason is, because he'd rather put 1,000 people out of work than, admit that he got called a racist. That's an opportunity to have a conversation on air. If you want to have a conversation that's going to be meaningful to the people around the world that watch this show, maybe given his education, he could have the ability to sit down and be like, let's talk about why you feel this way. And Chelsea could have laid out, these are the things that I have observed in the ways that you treat me versus the ways that you treat the women here. And this is how I interpret it. This is how it's making me feel. This is how it's impacting me mentally, emotionally. This is how it's impacting my business, my reputation. He didn't allow for that conversation. He just yelled, cameras off. And to date, Chrishell has not acknowledged that. So her little, tiptoeing around is completely unimpressive to me. And that's why I say, don't fall for it. She is not the white savior that she wants you to believe that she is. She was screaming bloody murder over whether Emma's boyfriend said the N-word while rapping to a song on his yacht. But let me tell you something else. The cast, and this is again something that they all say, before the reunion, the cast gets the preview to see the whole season before the reunion. So did Chrishell really have a problem to that extent with Emma during the show? Or was it that once she saw the final cut, Chrishell realized that she wasn't going to come across well this season and she needed to redeem herself in some way and she needed to distract the audience in some way? So she's like, let me point out this and let me point out that. And as long as people are looking over there, they're not going to be looking at me. They're not going to be calling me out for my bullying. They're not going to be calling me out for my fake drug accusations. They're not going to be calling me out for taking credit for sales that weren't my sales to begin with. And she's hoping that the audience is dumb enough to fall for it. So you guys, my sanity squad, I'm encouraging you to please stay sane. Use critical thinking. Use judgment. Zoom out, okay? Look at it from a purely objective standpoint. Take your emotions out of it and pretend Chrishell is someone that you don't like, that you haven't been watching. And if you look at it just objectively, have you as a white person ever seen the kind of double standard that happens to Chelsea in this show in your own workspace? And be honest, because I can say as a woman of color, I've been abused, I've been undermined, I've been denigrated, I have been disrespected, I have been sabotaged at some of the biggest institutions in the world. And it's painful to see that reflected on television right back at me. So it doesn't matter the industry. It doesn't matter whether it's behind closed doors or on Netflix streamed globally. When a Black woman is being treated in a way that's so apparently disproportionate to the way her white colleagues are being treated, a true ally steps up when it matters the most, not when it is the most convenient for their PR campaign. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Selling Sanity, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode.